Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the John Campea Show here on my YouTube channel. I'm, of course, your host, John Campea, and it is an honor and a privilege to have you guys joining me here today as we talk about our favorite things in the world, movies and movie news, a little bit of television here and there. We got a whole bunch of stuff to talk about, like what's going on with Terminator, some stuff going on with Ready Player One, a whole bunch of stuff about the Avengers is going on out there. But before we get to any of that, we got some breaking news, so we're going to go to that right off the top. And off the top is this. Patty Jenkins, director of Wonder Woman, has now confirmed via her Twitter outlet that yes, indeed, Kristen Wiig has signed on to play Cheetah. It's official. We heard about this about a week ago, I think it was, when reports started coming out that what's predominantly known as a comedy star, Kristen Wiig, was in the running to play the supervillain Cheetah. It made some people scratch their heads. I mean, I know I was scratching my head a bit, but you know what? It's Patty Jenkins. If she's casting her, I'll trust Patty Jenkins because she's a great director. But, you know, we said it's not official yet. Let's see what happens. Well, it's official now. Patty Jenkins got on her official Twitter page and she said this. So excited to confirm the most thrilling news. Yes, it's true. So incredibly lucky to welcome the sensationally talented Kristen Wiig to our Wonder Woman family. Can't wait to finally work with one of my favorites. And so excited by what we have planned. #Cheetah. So clearly, Patty Jenkins is very enthusiastic about this. Now, apparently, from what we understand, the studio's choice was to have Emma Stone to play Cheetah in it. Apparently, Emma Stone turned it down, and the person that Patty Jenkins wanted right from the beginning was Kristen Wiig. Which, I mean, I'll admit, hey, look, I'm a huge Kristen Wiig fan, but when I think supervillain and I think a superhero movie, I don't necessarily think of Kristen Wiig per se, but listen, Patty Jenkins has clearly got some kind of vision in her head for it, and she's going to go with it. I am very curious to see how the fan base reacts to this. Because I sensed a lot of restraint, both positive restraint and negative restraint. Like people were restraining their reactions when the news first broke. Because I think there's a lot of people who just didn't think it would actually happen. I know I thought it was 50-50 that would happen. But now that it's happened, I gotta admit, I'm going to be dying to know what people think about this. Because look, I think for the most part, we all trust Patty Jenkins. She's an exceptional director. I think most people like Kristen Wiig. The question here is Kristen Wiig as Cheetah? It does seem a little bit weird, and I am dying to know. I'm especially very curious to know like what the hardcore DC fans think about this. Like the ones who like just love everything about the DCU so far. I am really curious. Will they throw their support behind Kristen Wiig in this? I don't know. Look, Kristen Wiig is talented. Talent can usually trump most other things. But I guess we're just going to have to wait and see. What I really want to know is from you guys, and jump down to the comments section, chat with each other in the chat board about what do you think about this casting? How do you feel? Do you feel confident about it? Do you feel iffy about it? Are you going to kind of adopt a wait and see kind of attitude about it just to see how this thing really turns out? Let me know what you guys think. So if you're just joining us right now, it's now been made official. Kristen Wiig, as announced by director Patty Jenkins, is now confirmed to be playing the villain Cheetah in Wonder Woman 2. And we're just going to see how the reactions go. All right, guys, we've got some emails from you guys to go through that you guys have, of course, sent in. But before we get to the emails, there's lots of stuff that goes on in the world of movie news that we don't necessarily have all the time in the world to delve into in depth. But if you watch the John Campea Show, I want to make sure you guys are caught up to date with everything going on in the world of movies. So this is a little segment we called the Movie News Feed. Check this out. Avengers Infinity War is coming up quickly at the end of April, and depending on how you interpret his statement, one Avenger seems to be suggesting that perhaps they won't all make it out alive. In a recent interview, Iron Man actor Robert Downey Jr. seems to be bracing us all when he said the following. Believe me, I'm tired of every movie, you know, it's the end, it's Armageddon, it's the be-all end-all forever, and then it's not. This one actually is. They're not kidding. This is a heads will roll scenario. Will major characters actually die? We don't know, but you might want to bring some tissue to the theaters just in case. Avengers Infinity War opens in theaters on April 27th. Next up, From Deadline, The King's Speech, that fantastic film that won Best Picture, the director Tom Hooper and Daphne Keane, the breakout star of Logan, have signed on for the big-budget adaptation of Philip Pullman's fantasy epic, His Dark Materials. Hooper will direct the 8-part series, while Keane will play the main character, Lyra, an orphan who lives in a parallel universe. The series is being made for and ordered by BBC One, with Apple and Netflix poised to handle international streaming rights. Was Daphne Keane's incredible performance in Logan beginner's luck or sparks of true acting genius? I guess we're going to find out. Next, from The Hollywood Reporter, probably the greatest actor alive today without an Oscar on his shelf, Ralph Fiennes and Matthew Goode will join Keira Knightley and Matt Smith in the real-life spy thriller Official Secrets. The film centers on British intelligence whistleblower Catherine Gunn, played by Keira Knightley, who, during the immediate run-up to the 2003 Iraq invasion, leaked a top-secret National Security Agency memo exposing a joint US and United Kingdom illegal spying operation against members of the UN Security Council. Oscar winner Gavin Hood will direct the film, which is set to begin shooting next month in England. Next, Halt and Catch Fire and Blade Runner 2049 star Mackenzie Davis is reportedly in talks to take on a starring role in the upcoming Terminator film with Linda Hamilton and Arnold Schwarzenegger. According to Variety, director Tim Miller and James Cameron are still looking for the new protagonist who would take over the franchise from Linda Hamilton's character. Sources say Davis has been the studio's and Miller's top choice for a while, but the casting needs sign-off from James Cameron, who is currently busy, filming all those Avatar sequels. The new Terminator film is set to open on July 26th, 2019. And finally, forget about it. It looks like a prequel film to one of the greatest TV shows of all time, The Sopranos, is moving ahead at New Line. According to IndieWire, David Chase and Lawrence Connor's script for a prequel film titled The Many Saints of Newark has been picked up by New Line, setting the stage to bring one of America's favorite crime families back to life. The film will be set during the 1960s riots in Newark, New Jersey, and deals with the war between the African-American and Italian mafias. While story details are not confirmed, characters such as Tony Soprano's father and mother are reportedly involved. How much you want to bet that the post-credit scene is just going to be the screen going black? And that'll do it for today's installment of the Movie News Feed. All right, and now you are caught all up to date with the big stuff going on in the world of movie news. And with that done, let's get to our main topics of the day as submitted by you. You guys are the ones who submit the main topics. How do you submit a topic or a question on the John Campea Show in the email department? It's simple. Just email me anytime at john@thejohncampeashow.com and put the word topic in the subject line and keep those emails to 90 words or less. So let's get going with email number 1. And the first topic today comes to us from one of our Patreon supporters, Puneet Singh, who writes, "New Ready Player One posters have been released, which seems to be playing heavily on the nostalgia factor," yeah, they sure are, of the audience, with posters mimicking Back to the Future, Rambo, Goonies, Labyrinth, Matrix, Iron Giant, etc. I love them, but they seem to be not that greatly accepted by the public. What are your thoughts? Thanks, and bring on the filthy. Yeah, so one of the films that I am just super excited to watch, for no small reason because the greatest filmmaker of all time, Steven Spielberg's directing it, but is Ready Player One. They've had a couple of really good trailers, but the overall marketing campaign seems to have been a little bit weird. And now, for those of you who haven't caught this, they released a whole bunch of these special marketing posters that, since so much of Ready Player One is about the love of the characters, nostalgia for the 80s, seem to be playing off that. So they've put out all these different posters, and here's this one right here. People have a problem with these posters. They are getting mocked all over the internet. And I think the problem is not the concept. I actually think the concept's a pretty good concept. Look, these characters love the 80s. We've heard them say that in the trailers. Man, I wish I was born in the 80s, all that kind of stuff. So the concept of taking popular movies of that era and putting our characters in there, not bad. The problem I see is that the posters look terrible. They just look bad. The concept's good, but they look bad. Let's take a look at a couple of these. Here we go. Obviously got one here for Back to the Future. We got one for Ready Player One. And it just looks like bad Photoshop. It doesn't look like a professional studio that really knows what they're doing put these together. It just looks like bad Photoshop. Move on to the next one. We got a Labyrinth and a Risky Business. Again, they just look like something you'd find on DeviantArt. I mean, that an amateur artist kind of stepped up and did. I love Lost Boys, but that doesn't look very good. The Iron Giant one looks great. I'll give the Iron Giant one a pass. I think that one looks pretty damn good. Then you're getting into Breakfast Club and Rambo. We're getting into the original Blade Runner. That one looks pretty bad. And of course, a Goonies one. And it's just, once again, it's not so much that the concept of these are bad. I like the idea of going for, that type of a poster. But I think it becomes problematic when you're not putting in the live action versions of the characters from the movie into these posters. Instead, you're taking their CGI avatars, which already don't look great, and they're not supposed to look great, I don't think, but then meld them into these posters, and the final result isn't a poster that looks good. Concept's cool. I like the concept, but it's just at the end of the day, they just kind of look bad. And it is really bad when your marketing, which is supposed to increase buzz for your movie coming out, actually takes away people's excitement. And I have felt a thud across the internet when these posters came out. I feel like the enthusiasm level for Ready Player One dipped down, which it shouldn't, because these are just posters. These are just concept posters. But that's a bad day at the office when your marketing lessens the excitement for a movie instead of increases the excitement for a movie. So anyway, that's just kind of, let me know, maybe you guys love the posters. Jump down to the comments section. Let me know what you guys think. All right, let's move on now to the next question. And the next question today comes to us from Lukeman Hakim, who writes, have you seen the Avengers Infinity War covers for Entertainment Weekly? If you count the heroes on these covers, there are exactly 22 heroes, just like it says, 22 heroes, 6 Infinity Stones, 1 Mad Titan. I'm beginning to think Ant-Man and Hawkeye are either A, not in Infinity War, or B, their appearance might reveal a spoiler and or be important to the plot, and maybe it'll involve some big surprise in the movie. Any theory? Yes, so for those of you who didn't catch this the other day, Entertainment Weekly, which kills it with a lot of their covers, they put out an issue with I can't remember, 15 different variations of the cover, 18 different variations of the cover, I can't even remember, but of the heroes from the movie. And one of the things it specifically says on there is, and you can see it right there in the Tony Stark one, 22 heroes, 6 Infinity Stones, 1 Mad Titan. So the concept here is, do these covers give away some pretty big pieces of the MCU that are not even going to be involved in Avengers Infinity War? We haven't seen Ant-Man in the trailer. He did not get his own individual poster. And now we do not see him, unless he's too small to see, but generally speaking, we do not see him in these EW covers. We haven't seen Hawkeye get his own individual poster, like most of the other cast did. We haven't seen Hawkeye in the trailer, and now we don't see Hawkeye popping up on these things. Hawkeye, one of the OG Avengers, from the very first Avengers movie, one of the original Avengers, not in there. Now, you could say, oh, but we didn't see Black Panther in the individual character posters. Yeah, but we saw him tons in the trailer, and we see him very prominently on one of his own covers. But anyway, let's take a look at some of these, because I think some of these look great. And by the way, for those of you who missed it, if you put all these covers together, look beyond the typing on the posters. You can see that if you put all the posters together, they actually form a giant Avengers symbol, which is actually pretty cool creatively when you look at it. Okay, let's look at some of these character posters. Some of them are all right. I mean, they just look like the characters. But what's interesting to me in some of these character posters are the matchings. Like, for instance, on one cover, you have Scarlet Witch with Nebula. That's an odd matching. You understand the one with Thor, Groot, and Rocket because we see in the trailer that they're all together. Doctor Strange gets his own solo one. Hulk gets his own solo one. This is another strange combination. Star-Lord and why am I forgetting Oak? I'm forgetting the character's name. Anyway, so you got her, the Dora Milaje, Okaye, or why am I forgetting her name? I just said it a million times. Anyway, then we got another strange one. We got Vision and Shuri, although maybe not that weird because we know Vision is going to be in Wakanda because we've seen Vision there in the trailers. So there's that. Then we move on here. Black Panther gets his own standalone cover. Thanos gets his own standalone cover. Spider-Man, or are they going to ridiculously call him Iron Spider? I'm not really sure. Spider-Man gets his own cover. This is another really unique one. We got Bucky with Mantis. That's an odd pairing. War Machine with Drax. Okay. And look at this Tony Stark one. First of all, the armor itself looks pretty good. The armor itself on Tony looks pretty good. But take another close look. When I see the armor on Tony, all I can think about is Arthur. Again, go back and take a look. I see that outfit on Tony, and all I see is Arthur. So there's that. And then, of course, we've got Black Widow gets her own cover. Captain America, of course, gets his own cover. Then another interesting combination where we got Falcon with Gamora. So, and then once again, of course, they all merge together and form one big ass poster. Now, you're asking, hey, look, it says 22 heroes and there's only 22. And there's no Ant-Man and there's no Hawkeye. Does that mean they're not there? Could they be missing pieces? It's theoretically possible they could be. They are listed in the cast, but that doesn't guarantee that they're going to be in the movie. Neither of these guys have gotten their own character poster. Neither of these guys have been in the trailer. Now, neither of these guys are on this poster. It says 22 heroes, and now we see 22 heroes. However, keep in mind that when it says 22 heroes, it may not be talking about the movie. It may be talking about their covers. 22 heroes, 6 Infinity Stones, 1 Mad Titan. So it could be a reference just to the covers themselves. That, hey, we got 22 heroes on our covers and not necessarily 22 heroes in the movie. Again, it could be that it's indicating some big missing pieces from the film. Absolutely, it might be. But I still believe Ant-Man and Hawkeye are going to be in this film. I do believe they're going to be in there. And I kind of am going to go with your option number B. I think that what we're seeing here is that Ant-Man and Hawkeye probably pop up unexpectedly in the film. So they're opting to keep them out of the trailers. And let's face it, they've got 2,200 other characters to use in the trailers. There's tons of characters to go around to use in their marketing materials. So I'm going to think that your option B, that they're just hiding Ant-Man and Hawkeye for now, probably because they pop up unexpectedly, much like Hawkeye does in Civil War. Like, remember, Hawkeye comes out of nowhere in Civil War when he helps Scarlet Witch get away from Vision, remember? So maybe the same kind of thing is at play here. We're just going to have to wait and find out. All right, let's go to the final emailed in question today. And the final emailed in question today comes to us from Ellie Montgomery, who writes, I heard that the new Avengers movie will be over 2.5 hours long, 2 hours and 36 minutes to be exactly, is the report. I heard you say you think that's probably the sweet spot, but I'm a bit worried it may either be too long or too short. Some movie fans won't go to a movie much longer than 2 hours. But on the other hand, can you do it justice? Can you do it in just 2.5 hours with all that they need to do? I guess I just feel that it should either be longer or shorter. What do you think? Well, it's a good question, Ellie, because when that runtime came out, the 2 hours and 36 minutes, that does make it the longest MCU movie. It got a lot of discussion going online that you guys probably saw as well. Some people thinking maybe it's too short. Some people thinking maybe it's a little bit too long. Well, I decided to turn and get the opinion of a guy who just knows the comic book movie universe inside out and backwards. He also just happens to be a multi-Olympic medalist and an Olympic gold medalist and an undefeated movie trivia competitor as well, and talk to our buddy Cody Miller about this whole thing about the runtime going on with Avengers Infinity War. So here, check this out. Okay, Cody, it is difficult to imagine. We are now just 7 and a bit weeks away from Avengers Infinity War. I know you're a big fan of comic book genre, stuff like this. How excited are you for Avengers Infinity War?
I feel like I've been waiting for this my whole life. I'm so excited, dude. I could not be more excited. It's like all my friends and I have been talking about.
All right, now it got announced the other day that the runtime of the movie, 2 hours, 36 minutes. We've seen longer movies, but this would make it the longest MCU movie we've had so far. I think Captain America Civil War was the next longest at 2 hours and 27 minutes. What's your initial reaction when you hear that kind of a runtime, that it's going to be the longest one we've had so far?
I mean, for me, honestly, just pure excitement. I think we all kind of expected this one to be a bit longer. And I kind of feel like the Marvel movies they've kind of been pushing us into longer films. The most, like Black Panther was 2:15, I think. And even Thor Ragnarok was 2:10, and Civil War for me flew by. Like if you didn't tell me that was 2.5 hours, I wouldn't have noticed it was 2.5 hours. And I think that the audience isn't really going to care, because it's an event film and people are going to see all those characters. I don't think that runtime is going to have much of an effect, Like with like Blade Runner, like no one really went and saw that movie, and a lot of people said it's because the runtime was like almost 3 hours. I love the movie, but it was almost 3 hours long, and no one really knew what it was about. But with this movie, I don't see those same issues, you know?
Now, there are some people in the average movie-going audience. For instance, take my graphics guy, who is also my brother-in-law, Ray. When we ask him if he wants to go to a movie with us, first thing he asks is, how long is it? And if it's over 2 hours, he's like, nah, man, nah, I'll just wait for that. Do you think that maybe, like, obviously for a lot of the hardcore comic book movie fans, they hear this runtime, we're thinking, oh, are you kidding, man? Make it like 3 hours if you want. Do you think, though, like something like a 2.5 hours, do you think that could turn away some of the average movie-going fans, or do you think they won't mind either?
I mean, there's always going to be a small percentage of people who are turned off by something that's over 2 hours. But I think this movie is one of those few exceptions where it doesn't matter how long it is. Like, people are going to go see it no matter what, because it's such an event film. You know, like something like this has never happened before. You know, it's new for everyone. And, you know, it's kind of like I look back at what happened with Avatar. I mean, that was like another movie that was almost 3 hours long, but people kept going and seeing it. You know, the average movie going audience embraced it because it was something new and something that had never happened before.
Right.
And that's kind of what we have with all of our superheroes. So, I mean, there's always going to be that small group of people, but overall, I don't think it's going to affect the film whatsoever. The box office.
That's a great example. The Avatar example is a great example. Okay, well, let's look at the other side of it then. Like, if it's not too long, there are some concerns that people have. It's like, dear God, I mean, you've got 372 superheroes in this movie. You've got the culmination, or at least the beginning of the culmination of what the MCU has been up till now. Can you possibly do what you want to do in Infinity War with three? So forget, is it too long? Is it too short, or can they pull this off in that 2 hours and 36-minute runtime?
I mean, I think for us, we're always pushing, like, we could take 3 hours, like, give us more, right? But I mean, I have confidence they're going to be able to pull everything off. You know, I feel like everything that's been leading up to this moment, you know, watching Civil War and seeing how much they crammed into that film, even in one of my favorite X-Men movies was Days of Future Past. There were a ton of characters in that movie. Yeah. I mean, there's far, far more in this film. But absolutely, over 245, or it's 235. That's a lot of time, and like, I have no issues with it being too short. I mean, I would love for it to be longer. But on the flip side, there's always going to be that small group of people who say that there wasn't enough screen time given to this character, or there wasn't enough screen time given to that character, and you're never going to be able to please everyone. But I think overall, you know, I think it's going to be great, and they're going to do a good job with everything.
Well, yeah, the Entertainment Weekly covers that came out yesterday showing 22 of the heroes that are in the movie. I mean, they can't all possibly get a half hour of screen time at this point. But, you know, one other thing that came up in the movie news feed earlier was, you know, Robert Downey Jr. making these comments that, hey, you know what, forget that, you know, every movie feels like it's the end of the world. There's serious stuff in this movie. Heads are going to roll. If they do end up killing off one or two major characters, just random prediction, who do you think those major characters could be that they kill off in this one?
Oh, wow. Okay, so definitely not Black Widow. Part of me wants to say Hawkeye, but I feel like they're not going to kill Hawkeye. I think there's a good chance that I don't think they're going to kill anyone, but if I had to pick one, I would say, I think of the main group, I think Thor is probably your best bet. I don't think they're going to kill Iron Man. Yeah, I think he would be, but once again, I don't think it's going to be anyone. I don't think anyone's going, no one major. We'll see. I
think the one safe bet of somebody who's not going anywhere is probably Black Panther. They're probably not going to kill him with that thing crossing $1 billion at the box office. So listen, thanks a lot for joining us, Cody. Listen, if people want to follow you, first of all, on Twitter, where can people follow you on Twitter?
Yeah, you guys can follow me at Swim Miller with 1 M on Twitter. You guys can follow me at Cody Miller on Instagram. And I've got a YouTube channel. I've been making a lot of videos. I'm really happy about that. Cody Miller Adventures on YouTube. Thanks for having me, John.
All right. Thanks a lot, Cody.
Thank you.
All right. That, of course, is Olympic gold medalist Cody Miller, and we thank him for his insights on that as well. All right, guys, it's time for us to get over to the live comments. Of course, I like to take some live questions that you guys send in on every single episode of the John Campea Show. But before I get to those, I want to plug this thing one more time because this thing is starting up on Monday or Tuesday. I have just been signed up, and I am now sponsored. The John Campea Show for the next month or so is going to be sponsored by the Stardust app. You guys know I turn down a lot of sponsorships, but I love the Stardust app, and I'm going to be using the Stardust app to get live video reactions from you guys. Not live, sorry, to get video reactions from you guys. Look, if you're not familiar with the Stardust app is a simple app you put on your phone. It's free, and you use it to record 3 to 30-second reactions and mini reviews of trailers, TV show episodes, or movies. And you can use it to even recommend TV shows and movies to people that you want to get the word out about. So here's what we're going to be doing. You can go down into the description of this video right now and you'll find a link to the Stardust app. It's right near the top. Just click on that link, download the app. It's free. It's totally free to use, and it's really, really easy to use too. And then you can start recording your little mini reviews and reactions. But here's what I want you to do. When you do a mini review or reaction, I want you to tag me in the mini review. So you just record your video, hit edit, and then just tap on the screen and tag at John Campea. Just simply tag at John Campea. And then what I'm going to do 1 or 2 times a week is take some of my favorite reactions that you guys tag me in, and I'm going to put a little video segment together on the John Campea Show called What We're Watching to get your guys' recommendations. Because one of the things you guys use the chat for a lot is recommending movies to me and TV shows to me, which is great. This gives us a simple, easy way to get you on video on the show. And you guys know I've been working and playing around and experimenting with different ways of getting you guys on video on the show. And I think this is going to be a great way, pardon me, to help us do that. So once again, go down into the description of this video, click on the download app or the download link and download Stardust today. And then I'll look forward to seeing you and your ugly mug on the John Campea Show next week to go right alongside of my face that's made for podcasting. All right, with that out of the way, let's get on now to the live questions. I got about 10 minutes here to take some live questions. And guys, if you sent in a live question and I don't get around to it, don't worry, I'll put up another supplemental video a little bit later today getting to all those live questions that I don't get to right here live on the show. All right, let's get things rolling with this. And the first question today comes to us from KW Garrett83, who writes, over under 70% that Rocky dies in Creed 2. Oh, that Rocky dies. Here's the thing. Sylvester Stallone has a way of looking past illness and injury. Because remember in Rocky 5, he was supposed to have all this brain trauma and he could never fight again or he could die. And then Rocky Balboa comes out when it's years later and they just forget all about that brain damage that he got. And the State Athletic Commission gives him a boxing license to get back in the ring and fight the current champion. They just totally forgot about this brain damage he was supposed to have. I wouldn't be surprised. I'm not saying this is going to happen. I'm just saying I wouldn't be surprised if Creed 2 comes out and they totally don't even talk about the whole cancer thing with Rocky. I wouldn't be surprised with that at all. So I'm going to take the under on 70%. It's definitely a possibility, but I'm going to take the under if you're going to set the number that high at 70%. Okay, we move on now to Adam Griffin, who writes, my Mount Rushmore of female actors under 50 who have yet to but will one day win an Oscar. Amy Adams, Jessica Chastain, Emily Blunt, Naomi Harris. Oh yeah, Naomi Harris is a good one too. That's another one to put up there. Yeah, that's been a great discussion around the channel the last little while, is greatest actor not to have an Oscar now. Now that Gary Oldman won his Academy Award, the discussion is, well, now who's the best actor out there not to have an Academy Award? And I've hum and hawed, but I've now decided that my pick for that title is Ralph Fiennes. To me, he is the best actor in the world that doesn't have an act. I think I'm going to go for Amy Adams, but your Mount Rushmore is a really good one. Continue the discussion and the debate. All right. We move on now to Aditya Naran, who writes, hi from India. Hello. I saw Tomb Raider yesterday. Enjoyed the movie. Best video game movie to date. Definitely raises the bar for video game movies. Yeah, and Tomb Raider has now opened in a number of international markets. I think it opened in about 8 or 9 countries already. It opens, of course, here in North America next week. And I'm hearing mixed responses from it. I've read a couple of negative reviews from some international outlets. I've read 1 or 2 positive ones. I'm hearing some mediocre things from some fans. I'm hearing some positive things from some fans. So, hey, you know what? It's not overwhelmingly negative, and that's a good thing. I mean, when you're talking about video game movies, you expect it to be overwhelmingly negative, but it hasn't been overwhelmingly negative. So I'm getting curious about this film. I hope I like it. Fox Mulder writes, people like The Other Place attacking Disney over hiring white guys is toxic. I'm 100% for equality, but it's bumming me out. Thanks for keeping movie talk fun. Yeah, well, I mean, look, the idea, everybody knows. I am a huge proponent of diversity in our filmmakers, that giving more opportunity to non-white dude directors. I'm all for that. But being that does not mean you automatically have to be anti-white dude. Just because I'm all for, encouraging diversity, and we should be encouraging diversity. We should celebrate that more women are getting opportunities to direct. We should celebrate that more visible minorities are getting opportunities to direct and to take leading roles and things like that. We need to celebrate that and encourage that. But that doesn't mean that we have to be negative about all the great talented directors who are white dudes. It's not a one or the other situation here, folks. It's not complicated to understand. Just because, for instance, somebody really wants to encourage and endorse and push the idea of more opportunity for diversity, that doesn't mean that person is anti-white dude. It just means, hey, we got a lot of white dude doing a lot of stuff. Let's encourage the idea of other people getting more opportunities. That doesn't mean they're anti-white dude. And it doesn't mean that if you want to have that position, that means you automatically have to be negative about the idea of somebody who isn't a minority or who isn't a woman getting a job. It's not an either or here, folks. I cannot believe how difficult of a concept that is for some people to understand. It's not either or, it's both and. Not everything has to be so problematic. Not everything has to be completely adversarial. You don't have to either choose peanut butter or jam. Guess what? You can have both. What I am against is just peanut butter. What I'm against is only white dudes getting opportunities. Only white dudes getting this. When you look down a list of like the 100 most recent films released in theaters, and you see that 97 of them were directed by white dudes, then there is a problem. That's a problem, yes. But just because somebody's encouraging diversity doesn't mean they have to be anti-white dude hiring. So it really does drive me crazy, because here's the problem. When you believe that it's an either-or situation, and you start crapping on the idea of a white dude getting a job, or you start crapping on the idea of giving opportunity to women and visible minorities, when you start doing one of those two extremes, you're actually perpetuating the problem. It is a both and, not an either or. And I just wish more people would get their heads around that on both sides of this extreme. Some people are afraid to speak out for equality, for shared opportunity, for more minorities getting opportunities, for more women getting opportunities. Some people are afraid to speak out for that because they're afraid that automatically means we have to be anti-white dude getting a job. That's not the case at all. Some people are afraid to say, hey, it's okay that Jon Favreau got the Star Wars directing gig. He's like probably one of the top choices of fans out there. Some people are afraid to say it because they're afraid that means I'm anti-women getting equal opportunity. It's not either or, it is both and. Anyway, that's just my thought on that. So that was an unasked for rant. Sorry about that. And I took up way too much time because now I've only got a couple of minutes left. All right, Andrew Gifford writes, how about Tom Hanks in a Tarantino movie? Oh, sure. Okay. How about any talented actor in a Quentin Tarantino movie? Sure. Come on, Andrew. You know what I'm going to say to that. Sure. Whatever, I guess. That's fine. I don't care. Luna Comics writes, John, what do you think about more movies taking place in dreams or a person's imagination? Just think of all the possibilities. What do you think? I'm not a big fan of that because when things, for instance, take a film by Zack Snyder, okay? Probably the one film of his that I really just don't like. Probably the only film of Zack Snyder's I just flat out don't like is Sucker Punch. When everything takes place in a dream or vision, that removes all stakes. See, some people say if you don't kill major characters, that removes the stakes. No, it doesn't. But when you find out everything just happens in a dream or in somebody's mind, that really does remove all the stakes. Sucker Punch is a great example of that. Since everything was just happening in her head and in imagination, okay, so nothing was really at stake here. Nothing changed. And that's, so I'm not a big fan of that personally. Some people, it is. To some people, that's a great narrative device to use. Super. For me, it doesn't work because that, to me, takes away any sense of stakes or, things being on the line in a movie. HV3 9000 writes, do you think one reason Marvel is going the Iron Spider / Junior Iron Man route is separate this Spider-Man from the previous two Spider-Man? Nah, because like you introduced him just as Spider-Man already in Civil War. If you wanted to make a big differential between the previous Spider-Mans and this Spider-Man, then you lead off with the difference. And they didn't do that in Civil War, which is fine. Spider-Man is Spider-Man. He's great. Spider-Man is great. He doesn't need to be Iron Man Jr. And to all those people who want to say, oh, but John, in the comic books there's Iron Man, I've addressed this like 35 times. Yes, after decades and decades and decades and decades and decades of Spider-Man just being cool enough to being Spider-Man, there was this one time when they gave him the Iron Spider suit. I understand that. But we just got into this new version of Spider-Man into his first standalone movie, and you already had to make him Tony Stark Jr. You already had to make him Iron Man Jr. Because I guess Spider-Man just isn't cool enough. I just hated that. And I love Spider-Man Homecoming. I love that movie. But that is the one thing that has always bothered me. Dakota Barber writes, how big of a role do you think the Black Order will play in Infinity War? I am unfamiliar with them, but heard they will be in Infinity War. Can't wait for April 27th. Well, it's funny because the Black Order is something, they started appearing in a lot of the promotional materials even before we started seeing leaks or pictures of the Avengers themselves. But still, ultimately, how big of a role does that mean they'll play? They could be minute, they could be very major. I have a feeling it's going to be more on the major side. I think they're going to be more than just your stereotypical Penguin henchmen. I mean, they're not going to be Thanos. They're not going to be main villains per se. But I do think you're going to see them more than just the stereotypical role of henchman. Chad Van Syke writes, I know producers might start out as a line producer or even lower. What is/are the lowest rung in order of studio slide for the executives? I mean, it really all depends. Like somebody could be called an associate producer, but actually be quite important to the film. Somebody might be called executive producer, but might do nothing on the film whatsoever other than lending their name. So that's a more nuanced thing to get into than we really have time to get into here. It's a great question, but it's one that will take like 15 minutes to sit down and kind of dissect. So I don't really have that time, but it's a very, very good question. Let's see. And a whole bunch more questions came in. Oh gosh. Wow. There was a lot of questions. Okay. So clearly guys, I'm not going to get to all these. I'm going to have to, okay, here we go. D Wathers writes, hey John, do you have a moment to talk about our Lord and Savior, Tony Stark, aka Robert Downey Jr.? I mean, just look at that I Am suit. So bloody majestic. Yes. Look at Tony Stark in that glorious, magnificent suit. I'm sorry. Still, that's all I see when I see the new Tony Stark picture. Great comment, D. All right. Luna Comics writes, hey, John, I just heard Tomb Raider was good. Will it break video game movie curse? Well, again, I'm hearing mixed things. Some people I'm hearing saying it's good. Some people aren't. But it's like, that's the question we ask every single time a video game movie comes out. Is this the one to break the curse? Will Assassin's Creed break the curse? Will Warcraft break the curse? Will Tomb Raider break? I feel like we ask that every single time. I simply just don't know anymore until I see the movie. I'm not seeing the movie till Monday. So I'll be able to let you guys know shortly thereafter. Just got time for a couple more here, guys. Elijah Brown, have you watched the show Power featuring 50 Cent? No, haven't caught that one. That's a great one. You can use the Stardust app. Again, another little plug. That's the one you can use the Stardust app to make a recommendation on. So go and recommend that on there. Let's see. Next one we get is Harris, who writes, did you see the HD pictures yesterday of Zach Levi in his Shazam suit? I think it might be gay now. I've been a fan. Oh, I think I might be gay now. Okay, I see what you're saying there. I thought you were using a homophobic slur, and I was about to get upset, but I see what you're doing there. That's okay. I've been a fan of you since I was 15. I'm 21 today. Well, thank you so much, Harris. Yeah, I did see the pictures. Not really much different from what we saw before, just a little bit of a clearer picture. It's an interesting that they're going very literal with the costume translation. And I'll be honest with you, while I'm getting a kick out of seeing such a literal translation of the comic book costume, I'm not feeling really super confident that it's going to work. I don't know. I'm hoping I'm dead wrong about that. Let's see it when it comes out. This next one comes to us from Drinks on Me. The new Spidey suit brings new life to the character and gives Peter new challenges and more ways to be creative. They've exhausted every swing angle and trick for 10 years to the point that it's become redundant. Look, that's cool that it's your opinion, drinks on me. I respect that that's your opinion, and your opinion is no more, no less valid than mine. My opinion couldn't be further different from you. Could not be further different from you. That's like saying, well, you know what? In the next Captain America movie, Captain America's been around for like 8 years now, being played by Chris Evans. We got to give him laser eyes. Got to give him laser eyes. I mean, just Captain America just isn't interesting anymore without laser eyes. So let's give him laser eyes. To say Spider-Man has been great the way he is for 60 plus years of comic books. So, like, I do not buy this saying, oh man, like there's just nothing cool about Spider-Man anymore. Again, I'm not trashing on your opinion. That's your opinion. I respect your opinion. But from my point of view, what's going on in my head is like, no man, Spider-Man is Spider-Man. Spider-Man is Spider-Man. It's like, oh, we've had Black Widow in these movies for like 7 years now. Better give her bionic legs, because if we don't change her, then she's not cool anymore. I don't subscribe to that theory of thinking, my man. I mean, like again, totally respect that that's your point of view. Totally dig it, and I'm sure you're not alone in thinking that. But I just think very, very differently than you do on that. Spider-Man is Spider-Man. And he's one of the most popular, most beloved comic book characters of all time for a reason. And you don't need to make him, from my point of view, you don't need to make him Iron Man Jr. to make him cool. Like, what's that? Okay, next give Black Widow an Iron Man suit too. Sure, yeah, give Black Widow an Iron Man suit. And you know, Captain America's already really tough, but you know, if you give him a Captain America Iron Man suit, then he'll be even tougher. And let's give everybody Iron Man suits. Give Hulk his own Iron Man suit. I mean, to me, it undermines the specialness of Spider-Man himself. Okay, just two more quick ones here. Favorite cruise line? Oh, Celebrity? I think Celebrity is my favorite cruise line. ZCM Zombie writes, thoughts on the song Africa by Toto? Talk about a random question, ZCM. I like it. Just like the rain standing in Africa. Okay, that will do it for me, guys. And again, I know there's a bunch of other questions there. Don't worry, guys. I'm going to do a supplemental video a little bit later today that will get to all of your questions and the questions from Open Mic last night that I didn't get a chance to do. I'm going to put all those together and do a supplemental video a little bit later today. Watch for that. It'll go up. Don't worry, your question will get answered. All right, guys, thanks a lot again for joining me. Don't forget, look down into the description, find that link to the Stardust App, download it, start putting up your reactions and tagging me at John Campea on your reactions so I can start putting together some videos of you guys giving some quick reviews and reactions on next week's shows. I'm really looking forward to having you guys on. That's going to be a lot of fun. Also, guys, don't forget, you can follow me on Twitter. Just follow me on Twitter simply at John Campea. If you're not subscribed to our YouTube channel, why not? Click that subscribe button. If you want to support the channel, click the thumbs up button. And listen, guys, do me a favor. If you're somebody who enjoys our programming here, do me a favor and consider becoming a Patreon supporter. Go on over to www.patreon.com/John Campea. There you'll get all the information about what it means to be a Patreon supporter, how being a Patreon supporter keeps these shows alive, and number 3, what benefits there are to being a Patreon supporter. And maybe you'll decide to become a Patreon supporter too. And if you don't, that's totally fine. I'm just glad you're being a film fan with us. All right, guys, that will do it for me for this installment of the John Campea Show. Thanks so much for joining us. My name's John Campea, and until the next video, bye-bye.